think obviously with P out, it's more leadership on the court in terms of like what we're running, and maybe if we need a good shot, or be poised and kind of get everybody together. But in general, I think I'm someone who tries to lead by example.
In the last month, Franz Wagner is averaging 27 points and 7 assists per game, while leading the Magic to a 13-2 record, all without all-star Paolo Banchero. The 23-year-old Wagner doesn't have a basketball superpower like so many offensive stars, and he's not a great shooter, yet he's carried Orlando's roster of defensive specialists with his strong decision-making and by leveraging his size and feel as a playmaker. Franz is huge. He's listed at 6'10", and despite that size, he'll probe around with a live dribble to find little creases in the paint where he can finish. And he's in the 92nd percentile in drive frequency to start the season, so his combination of ball handling and then size allow him to wall off someone like AD and finish left-handed. In the past, Wagner used those long strides to weave his way around traffic near the bucket, but he's embraced more physicality as his frame is filled out so he can play through contact like this. He also likes to snake into the lane with defenders on his back, using that broad frame to carve out space, and I love that quick little dribble to protect the ball before the up fake and finish. This is the promise of the big playmaker: ball handling to probe around defenders, then giant strides and the feel to set up teammates after collapsing the defense. These are guard skills in that 6'10" frame, snaking through the lane and then spraying it to open shooters. And to me, the defining characteristic here is Franz's patience and control. He's not super quick off the bounce or an overwhelmingly explosive athlete, so he can't easily create a ton of rim pressure, even against slower defenders. But he makes up for this by probing with that dribble and changing directions with his head up so he can read the backline defender and make high-quality decisions under control. On this one, he's waiting for the pick, rejects the screen the other way, then leans into the contact as he reads the help defender perfectly. And this might be my favorite example, where all the Pistons defenders are on one side of the floor, so he slows down to fake the pocket pass and stride it home himself. Franz does have some versatility shot making off the dribble, whether it's a floater like that or turning his back in the mid-range to shoot over a smaller player. Although his mid-range shooting numbers have hovered below league average for his entire career. His ball handling also still has some loose spots. He can fumble at a touch through contact like this, and the challenge of being 6'10" makes it hard to keep the ball on a tight string all the time, so crossovers in traffic are a little more vulnerable to pesky defenders. Of course, the trade-off is that Franz creates a bunch of mismatches with his size, and when help comes, he's good at making basic passes to find better shots. Against the Hornets, Franz just switch-hunted LaMelo Ball to create a strength mismatch, and then just the threat of that often brought a double team and some basic but effective playmaking, which is enormous on an offensively inept team like the Magic, who lack any other remotely high-level creator. Take this play, where Wagner's going after LaMelo, basically draws a triple team, but the Magic's spacing is all kinds of bad, so the best option is a 27% three-point shooter. Franz's best deliveries might be these skip passes to the other side of the floor, where he can use that one-handed live dribble bullet that he throws like this. And these are all different high-level reads, where he works for the mismatch, is again very patient, and then when a second defender commits to his side, he can sling it into the corner, and that is gorgeous. This time, his older brother Mo ends up with a mismatch in the post. It's standard for an extra defender to slide over to help deny the entry pass, so Franz tells his man to flash to the high post to counter it, That draws defensive attention, and so the skip pass is then money. So Wagner has a really strong spatial understanding of the floor, and it shows on a simple play like this, where he calls for Goga Batadze to come set a screen, realizes James Harden is waiting for that screen to arrive, so he floats it over the top to a teammate, and that live dribble pass catches Harden and the help defender off guard, and suddenly it's an and one at the rim. So while he doesn't have all the passes down yet, he still has that fastball right off the bounce, and he also throws some of these tighter passes right now, using the lob perfectly here, or using his size to look over the top and thread a tight one to his brother. This time they get it to Mo at the top of the key. The Pistons switch to deny this handoff action, so Franz just goes back door, and it's a lovely pass up high from his brother. I actually think Franz's feel for the game really shines as a screener or cutter in these off-ball situations, where instead of just robotically setting a pick, he reads an overplay and backdoors right to the goal instead. This one's even better, where he comes up to set that same back screen, almost starts to curl up for the handoff, but there's a late switch call from the defense, so he seals inside, and then his size does the rest downhill. Last year, Wagner's offensive load with Banchero on the court jumped from 36 to about 44, meaning he was directly involved in the offensive action 44% of the time. That's solid, but only in the 89th percentile, which is slightly more egalitarian for a primary option. For comparison, Banchero's load jumped to 50 without Wagner, which would place him among the heavy lifting engines like Steph Curry, Giannis, Tyrese Halliburton, and so on. But without Paolo this year, Franz's load has jumped to 52, expanding his playmaking while carrying the Orlando offense. So even though he's not an elite rim finisher, mid-range shooter, or outside shooter, his raw percentages can be a little deceptive because the variety of the shots he takes and the difficulty he's shouldering right now make very few of these easy. In other words, he's the one setting up his teammates, whereas no one is really setting him up. And his offensive growth hasn't come at the expense of his stout defense, where he's a major part of arguably the best unit in the league. This is the big, physical, two-way forward archetype that's historically so valuable, where Wagner is a significant positive on both sides of the ball, which means that his teams can play a variety of lineups and coverages around all his skill and size, amplifying his teammates around him in the process. The Celtics maximized that archetype last year, building a juggernaut around two big forwards like that, so Wagner's tailor-made for a wide variety of playoff lineups next to other stars. His running mate Banchero looked great to start the year, so Orlando's incredible run without him seems to be less about Paolo and more about forcing Franz into a larger role. And that can be the silver lining to an injury like Banchero's. Wagner has spent years developing as a defender, off-ball player, and secondary attacker, and these reps as the primary weapon are huge for his confidence and for Orlando's offense becoming more than just Banchero ball. The Magic's offensive rating without Franz or Paolo this year is a woeful 101. That'd be 4 points worse than the Wizards, who are easily the worst offense in the league. But with Franz, the Magic are an above-average offense, posting a 115 offensive rating, the kind of offensive signal usually reserved for elite players. Part of that is because he's their only valuable weapon right now, but between his playmaking, feel, versatility, and strong defense, Franz Wagner has emerged as, at worst, a fringe all-star level player, and possibly Orlando's second young all-star in as many seasons. For the full version of this video and exclusive access to every Thinking Basketball video, become a channel member. That's now the new home for all of our video content. To sign up for our proprietary player and team stats, go to patreon.com/thinkingbasketball. We also have a vibrant Discord community there, and it's just a great way to support us in general. As always, thanks for watching, and I hope you're having a great day.